And good evening, everybody, and welcome here to race number 23 of the debut season of the PCSRA Winston Cup Series, getting set for the running of the Toyota Owners 440 laps about to be run here tonight. We had a very calm and clean Busch Series race here last night and saw a driver who had multiple wins go to victory lane. Will we see that here today as far as this race is concerned? We're going to have to wait and see in 40 laps time. Brenda Eveling going to be ineligible to make the playoffs. She is 39th in the points on the pole. Just needs to find victory lane. It's been a rough year for that DuPont Chevrolet. J TwoTwo on the flip side is alongside. He is the points leader coming in this race. The guy who's trying to run him down, Cody Smart, starting in third. And alongside is Annie Winters, who fell 4 spots down to 17th in the point standings. There's the rest of your starting lineup. And let's talk about the points real quickly. I said Jacob TwoTwo and Cody Smart, who are starting second and third. They're separated by 26 points. And the guy who is third in the points right there, that would be Ben Tennyson, who completes your top 5, by the way. He is third in the standings, 41 points back. 59 back, is Josephine Bouvier, who is fourth in the standings. Betty Johnson is fifth. Annie Crenshaw, last week's winner, in sixth. Jessica Miller, seventh. Elena Aurora, eighth. Ashley Horton, ninth. And P Albanus complete the top 10. Let's make sure these cars are rolling off. There's Annie Crenshaw. I'd like to get a second win to build some playoff points, if you ask me. As the field of 40 cars are rolling off on the grid. I'm going to double check the back of the field to make sure no one is having an issue. Because we had the start waved off twice last night in the Winston, or in the Busch race. Brooklyn Carter debuting this paint scheme. See how she does here tonight, and looks like everybody's going to take the start. So hooray. So no issues as far as that's concerned. But it's time to get the Toyota Owners 400 underway. Green flags in the air. We're racing here tonight at Richmond. We currently have 14 winners inside the top 30 in the points. Hannah Smith recently moved in, and I thought Courtney Lynn moved in. She is actually 2 points back of 30th in the standings. So another good run for Courtney Lynn might put her back in the top 30 in the points. Ben Erickson fell outside the top 30 in points. He's only a total of 12 points back of 30th in the standings. Zachary Taylor is a total of 22 points back of 30th in the standings. Marty Stevens, who didn't have a good result last week at the at New Hampshire. Thank you, video. Let's see, 419, 376. $43 points back of 30th in the standings for Marty Stevens. And then 63 back is Annie Thomas, which is looking very unlikely. Annie Thomas is going to make it back in the top 30 in the points to have that win count for a spot in the playoffs. And the caution is out. So unlike our Busch race last night, we've had our first yellow of the evening that takes place on lap number 4. We're going to slow it down. First time we've had the yellow flag this weekend. Let's see who this involves. Can't tell. That's Luke Knight, Ashley Reynolds. Not seeing any drivers involved. Do I see any damage on Zachary Taylor's machine? Yes, he's got a little hood buckle on that Kodak Pontiac. For Morgan McClure Racing, as the caution's out for the first time here tonight, let's jump back and look at a replay to find out what happened to Zachary Taylor. I don't know if you can put Brooklyn Carter at fault for this, as let's see here. It looks like the 20 got into the 4, up into the 23 of Annie Thomas. I didn't realize Annie Thomas got involved. Courtney Ling got a piece of it. There's Luigi Cadet, got a piece of it. In the 45, Hannah Smith's going to get through that. Luke Knight runs into Melissa Cooper and then into Zachary Taylor. That's where the hood buckle comes in. Oh, the 18 of Jerry Harvick got a piece of it as well. And then a little contact by the target dodge of Ben Erickson into Zachary Taylor. And Taylor came in this race 33rd in the points, came in this race a mere 22 points back of 30th in the standings. This is not the way he wanted to have happen. But of course, aerodynamics won't mean much because it's a short track. Same with the next two races of Martinsville and Bristol. So the yellow's out for the first time this evening. Let's jump to the restart here at Richmond. Getting ready to go back to green on lap number 10 of 40. Should be at the 1/4 mark, and we'll have a total of 31 laps to go when we cross the line. Brenda Eveling is the leader. Cody Smart second. Jacob TwoTwo is third. Last week's winner, Annie Crenshaw, is fourth. Ben Tennyson is fifth. Annie Winters sixth. Riley Anderson seventh. Tatum Wright eighth. Ninth is Ashley Horton. And Marty Stevens, who is in a desperate must-win situation or good run, is in the top 10. I noticed Betty Barrett got some rear end damage on her BAM Racing Dodge. I wonder if somebody ran the back of her under the yellow. Nobody out of the race from that incident. Of course, aerodynamics won't mean anything here at Richmond because it's a short track, if you know what I mean. So, and we're back to green here at Richmond. Lap number 10 of 40 about to start. Cody Smart not wasting any time. Almost turned the DuPont Chevrolet around. Almost committed female abuse. Don't think Brenda Ealing will take too kindly as Annie Crenshaw goes around Jacob TwoTwo. That's a battle for the third position. Annie Crenshaw, with the races we have left after tonight, will be 3 to go. I think we can safely say Jacob TwoTwo, Annie Crenshaw, and Cody Smart. It's going to be impossible for them, barring any incident that happens between now and then. I don't think I see those three drivers falling outside the top 30 in points, as well as the other drivers who had some good results, like TwoTwo, Smart, Tennyson, Crenshaw, Aurora, Horton, and Albanus. With 3 races left to go in the regular season, I do not see those drivers, and I could also throw Jerry Harvick in the list. I don't see those drivers falling outside the top 30 in points. So their goal is just to try to rack up some more wins as we get to the end of the regular season. Hannah Smith came into this race 11 points ahead of 30th in the standings. Needs a good run today. Kevin Joseph comes into this race 24th in the points, and he was a total of 12, let's see, 15, 23 points, I believe, ahead of 30th in the standings. So needs a solid run here today. Cody Smart needs to gain some points on Jacob TwoTwo, or Jacob's going to take the regular season championship. We're being told the 88 is 1 lap down. That would be Ashley Horton. Or no, Ashley Reynolds, sorry. She's apparently a lap down. I wonder if she had an unscheduled pit stop or something like that. Ashley Reynolds came in this race 19th in the points. And she was a total of 58 points ahead of 30th in the standings. So she could somewhat ill afford a poor finish. Zachary Taylor badly damaged on that machine. And there's some rear end damage on the DakotaImage.com Dodge of Betty Barrett. I wonder if somebody ran in the back of her under the yellow. There's Jerry Harvick. Kevin Joseph, this is not where he needs to be. He needs to get going right now. Same with Courtney Lynn. Courtney Lynn, only 2 points back of 30th in the standings, needs a good run here tonight if she wants to be back in the playoff conversation. I also noticed another playoff. Oh, and it looks like Brooklyn Carter's got some rear end damage on the left side of her UAW Delphi Chevrolet. Banco Seaman, he's currently not locked into the playoffs yet because he is 23rd in the points. He has the same gap. Let me see, 442, 419. He has 23 points also ahead of 30th in the standings. And looks like Annie Thomas's are actually, no, Annie Thomas has that rear end damage because of that incident we saw in the replay. So I think Annie Thomas is definitely going to be facing elimination, if you ask me. And there's Marty Steven. Sean Art's in the grass for some reason. Oh, and he almost made contact. He's got some rear end damage on that Sirius Satellite Radio Dodge. Just gathered it up. He and another driver. Let's actually go back and look at real quickly. Looks like we might have had some oil down as we're going to take a quick replay. Yeah, car got a little snappy there. He and Ashley Horton got together. Horton ran to the back of the 7. No harm, no foul. We're back to live action. Sean has really had to gather it up. That's what we call loosey-goosey, if you ask me. And Margaret Jacobs just came to pit road. We also had a lead change. Cody Smart just got around Brenda Eveling, brought his teammate Annie Crenshaw with him. Annie Crenshaw's been really doing well in this number 2 machine for Penske. Annie Crenshaw's second win will definitely give her some more playoff points in that Miller Lite Dodge. And she's going to go by her team owner, Cody Smart, believe it or not. Looks like Cody realized Annie Crenshaw's going a little faster than Cody. With that win last week, both of the Penske cars are guaranteed to make the playoffs because there is no way they're going to fall out of the top 30 in points. So I think their goal is just to try to get as many wins as they can before the reformatted playoff points. Cody Smart is not liking that J TwoTwo's up here and not cutting into his points lead any good. Also, I see Samantha Grainger, who comes in this race 15th in the points, had a big enough cushion between herself and 30th in the standings. So I think we can safely say, barring anything happen, Hannah Smith's running in 14th. Let's wait for the ticker to update. Hannah Smith, by the way, looking like she's going to make the playoffs, providing she stays in the top 30 in points. Marty Stevens is running in the 19th position. And Stevens is a driver who needs to get himself back in the top 30 in the points. Let's see, 419, 376. Because he's only 43 points back at 30th in the standings. Banco Seaman 21st. Not sure if this is going to do him any good. And we're told Margaret Jacobs has taken her car back behind a wall. She came in this race that critical 30th position in the points. Zachary Taylor, it's looking likely Zachary Taylor is going to be eliminated possibly from the playoffs. Courtney Lynn needs to get herself going quickly because it looks like her playoff hopes are starting to dwindle quickly as we're inside of 10 to go. I would not be surprised if Annie Crenshaw wins because last week she did a hell of a job holding off the 0-1 and the 1 at Loudon. And here she is holding off her teammate and team owner, Cody Smart. And she's doing a fantastic job doing so. And right now, it's looking like J TwoTwo is going to keep the points lead, but he's only going to lose a couple of points because Cody Smart's running in second, and he was second in points. So J TwoTwo will still keep the points lead, even though his points gap's going to get cut a little bit. But I don't think TwoTwo minds because at this point, we can say J TwoTwo is in the playoffs. So is Ben Tennyson. So is Cody Smart. A Crenshaw, who, by the way, is in the top 10 in the points. It's looking very unlikely she's going to fall out of the top 30 in the points. And, of course, she was the driver who needed to find victory lane because she was right. Because she entered last week's race at Loudon below the cut line by 8 points. And she led from start to finish in that 30 lapper at Loudon, which she ended up winning. And if she wins this race again, we're talking about possibly A Crenshaw playing a little bit of maybe she could be a factor in saying, hey, boys, you might have forgotten about me, but I'm the wizarding teenager that can pull up a few tricks up my sleeve, in A Crenshaw's term. And so far, A Crenshaw went from having no wins to possibly becoming a 2-time winner this season. And here we go, deja vu all over again. And J TwoTwo just passed Cody Smart, so Cody's not going to be pleased about that. But those two are absolutely going to make the playoffs. And A Crenshaw is also going to make the playoffs the way this is going for her. So the top 4 would be former winners or a repeat winner. Courtney Lynn's going to be probably incontrollable, and I can safely say Annie Thomas, excuse me. I almost said A Crenshaw. I forgot Crenshaw's leading. I think we can safely say Annie Thomas's championship hopes are going to be done, which is a tough break for her. But she's looking forward next season when she's going to drive the number 82 for World NOS Racing in the Winston Cup Series next season. And of course, because the 82, of course, she will have we got a wreck on the back straightaway. I think this is the caution, if I'm correct. Is the yellow lights on? They are. A Crenshaw, for the second week in a row, is going to win, barring any issues. And the caution is out. We just took the white flag, so I don't know where the smoke came from. And how about that? A Crenshaw went from having no wins in the first 20... As I go back to the points, in the first 21 races, now she's gone back-to-back and has no doubtably locked herself a spot into the playoffs. And she's like in the top 10, so she'll stay in the top 10 in points. As A Crenshaw, for the second week in a row, is going to win the Toyota Owners 400 and no doubtably will be in the playoffs this season. Before we show your official finish results, let's jump back, look at a replay to find out where the smoke came from. Looks like we found our culprit who brought out this yellow is J Harvick, as he gets male abuse by Jessica Miller and sends the Interstate Battery Chevrolet around. He was running 26 at the time of the spin. Fortunately, J Harvick was only 11th in points, but this is not the finish he was hoping for here tonight. And thankfully, he kept it going in the right direction, but going to lose a lot of positions. So, tough break for J Harvick, as that brought out the final caution of the day, the second and final caution of the day. And we already saw A Crenshaw take the checker flag. So let's get to your official finish results here at Richmond. And welcome back. A Crenshaw has now taken her Miller Lite Dodge to victory lane, her second win in a row. No doubtably will be in the playoffs regardless. In fact, the top 4 are already guaranteed to be in the playoffs. Ben Tennyson, J TwoTwo, Cody Smart. TwoTwo will keep the points lead heading into next week. And by the way, that's first, second, and third in the top 10 in the points. And they finished second, third, and fourth. Great run for them. A Crenshaw came in as 6th in points. As I said, she'll stay in the top 10, and this is definitely going to be good news for her because she's going to get a couple of more playoff points that's coming her way, and that could be critical for her coming into the reformatted playoff standings. Brenda Eveling, a well-needed run, definitely not going to make the playoffs, but good run for her nevertheless in 5th. Brad Lewis in 6th. Talk about a driver who really has been having a tough season. 38th in the points. Will come away with 6. Riley Anderson will get 7. She was 26th in the points table coming in this race. Mia Watts 8th. Tatum Wright 9th. And Elena Aurora will complete the top 10. I think a 10th place finish will definitely lock Elena Aurora into this season's chase for the championship. And the honorable mention of Samantha Grainger finishing in 11th. I think that might have just locked her a spot into the playoffs because she had a nice little cushion between herself and 30th in the standings. Um, Hannah Smith came in this race 11 points. 12, I think, has done her good. So this will get her away from 30th in the standings, continue her climb through the points table as well. Let's see, looking through the rest of the field, Betty Johnson had a run in 17th. Vanko Seaman finished in 18th. He was 23rd in the points, so I think he might somewhat move himself. I don't know if a 19th place finish is going to be it for Marty Stevens. I think he's going to be in a must win next week at Martinsville. Ponzo Albanus gets 20th. Could have been worse for Ponzo. Ashley Horton 11. She was ninth in points. This is going to be a big hit for her, but she was super far ahead of 30th in the standings, so I don't think she won't be upset about that. Todd Montgomery was 21st in the points, and he was a total of 37 points ahead of 30th in the standings. We'll see where this is going to situate him after today's race. You look on down through the remainder of the finishing results. Let's see. Ben Erickson 29th. I don't know if that's going to be good for him to get back in the top 30 in points. Kevin Joseph 28th. He was 24th in the points. And a lot of drivers behind him in the points, I think, did a little bit better. So I don't know where this is going to situate him. Ben Erickson was the last car to finish on the lead lap. Courtney Lynn, 30th, is not going to be enough for her. Luke Knight didn't have a good run. Annie Thomas, I think we can safely say Annie Thomas's chances of making the playoffs and the top 30 is pretty much over. Same deal with Zachary Taylor, who finished in 38th. Jerry Harvick, who brought out that last caution, 37th. But he was so far ahead of 30th in the standings, so that's good. And then Ashley Reynolds, 19th in the points. This is going to put her in the danger zone of possibly falling outside the top 30 in points. As we had 39 drivers finish the race, 29 were on the lead lap, and Margaret Jacobs was the only car who finished out of the race due to a mechanical problem after we worked 2 cautions here this evening. But Annie Crenshaw will be delighted to get this victory here today as she takes the checker flag in the Toyota Owners 400. J TwoTwo will keep the points lead, no doubt, heading in next week. He'll only lose about 1 point by Ben Tennyson, but I don't think Jacob minds about that here tonight. But thank you all for joining me for today's race here at Richmond. Congratulations to Annie Crenshaw on her second win in a row. Could she go 3 in a row next week at Martinsville? We'll have to wait and see. If you guys enjoyed tonight's race, be sure to give this video a like, subscribe to become part of the PCSRA crew today. We showed your full finisher results. Your point standings are down the description heading into next week at Martinsville. It'll be Busch and Winston Cup coming your way from the paperclip. And it will be at night, so another 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hope you'll join us for that. Until Martinsville, I've been D. DeVille signing off. Good night from Richmond, Virginia, as you've been watching yet another broadcast of PCSRA TV, where champions are made since 2010, and 15 years is the best out of racing around the world since 2017. See you next week from Martinsville.